Hey, this is Destiny Hall. Actually, it is 11:29 p.m. my time in Tennessee, and I just got home from band practice on a Monday night, so that's exciting. Just doing my research update for this week's discussion board, and I'm just going to go through these points and fingers crossed hit 5 minutes. So, check in. How are you doing? What have you been doing lately? To be totally transparent, I am stressed. That is what I am. We are hosting, we being my school, Jackson Christian, our inaugural West Tennessee Small Band Championship this weekend. And we are hosting 13 bands of 50 or less, color guard included. And right now we are just making sure programs are printed, trophies are going to arrive on time, director's packets are ready, emails are being sent out, that we have handled things like monetary issues, that all the t-shirts we have coming in to sell are good to go, along with sweatshirts and hoodies, and also trying to make sure that parents' anxieties, even though all they have to do is show up and do the job that they signed up in Sign Up Genius to do, feel totally confident in that, because apparently I'm not doing a great job. So that's what I've been doing lately. Lots of band, lots of getting ready for things. And in the last month, I've gone to the Memphis Zoo, I think 17 times. That's what I do on Sundays now, because band on Saturdays makes me really sad. So point number 2, summarize the things that you've learned in your research so far on your topic. In a way, I've learned that instruments have not changed a ton in the last 100 years, but I've learned, they obviously have, but the general idea is still pretty solid. I did find that there was like an entire book on Schilke mouthpieces, which I thought was really interesting. Being a euphonium player, I'm like one of the ones that's like, Schilke 51D, that thing's fantastic. And so it's really interesting to see that that's out there. Also getting to talk to people like Steve Patrick with Patrick Mouthpieces, so that I can just ask questions about what they create, how they create it, and why they create it. And also talking to different professors that I've had and from other places about what they prefer and what they give to students. What are some of the most important sources you've identified in your research? Again, probably stuff about Schilke mouthpieces. I found something on not our scavenger hunt, but it was like I'd have to go find it, a couple of assignments ago, about bassoon making, which I thought was really interesting, especially considering the prices back then to now, as well as how trumpets are made, and this specific person that they would take their equipment to see if it was in tune with itself, which I kind of forget that that's a thing. Like, so I'm not a woodwind player, even though I do love to play the clarinet. It's interesting to me that your mouthpiece might literally be out of tune with itself and you just need a new one. And to me, that's a really interesting concept. What is interesting about the topic to you? Do you have any thoughts? So really, my goal and my hope in doing this research project, this paper on mouthpieces, was to provide a guide for young directors. I think I said this early on whenever we had our first initial conversation about our papers. I really feel like mouthpieces and the equipment that is interchangeable, and I don't just mean like buying a new trumpet, but that makes a huge difference student to student. Same with like the brand of reed, the strength of a reed, etc., etc. I don't think that there's enough information out there. I know that there is an embouchure project that you can purchase on Teachers Pay Teachers, and it gives you a lot of helpful feedback on what to look for, what they do not recommend for that instrument, how to set everything up to teach them to play well early on. But not every child that has the facial structure to be a fantastic flute player wants to play the flute. So what can we do to help them be more successful? And sometimes it's setting them up with the right equipment. So one of the most interesting things I think I found is that there's hardly any information out there about tuba mouthpieces. And if you find something, please let me know, because that is one of my big questions in all of this. I obviously know that tuba mouthpieces are incredibly expensive, but I have a student who's playing tuba who I think would benefit greatly from a smaller mouthpiece, and it's hard to find a lot of information out there. I feel like that's what is so interesting to me, is that there's a million different kinds of mouthpieces you can buy from just one brand, and how do I know what to pick, why to pick? I think that we could do a much better job. So, do you have any thoughts about a thesis or original idea so far? It's like I said, it's just mostly to gather information about, probably more specifically, brass mouthpieces, but how they affect the player, what may be the most beneficial depending on your face shape, and how to help students find early success by choosing something that's going to fit their facial structure quickly early on. So hopefully this gives you some insight into what I've been doing lately, and I can highly recommend the Memphis Zoo now that it's cooler. We finally saw the pandas awake. Trip number 7. Saw the kangaroos. It's not worth the $5 you pay per person, so would not recommend going to the kangaroo exhibit. Have a good night.